Malawi Brief.
Nkhani ya lero ndiyokhuzana kunyongedwa kapena kuti death penalty ngati chimodzi mwa chilango chimene anthu amapasidwa akalakwa, koma kwathu kuno chilango chimenechi kulibeko. Mu video yotsatirayi lawyer Alexis Kamangira akulongosola zifukwa zimene amadana kapena sagwirizana ndi chilango chimenechi, komanso akulongosolanso zina zambiri. Takhalani pomwepo.
Kumutumiza munthu kundende kuti akanyongedwe ndikungomusiya zaka zosiyanasiyana ndikumphwanyira ufulu wake ngati munthu okhala ndi moyo ngati munthu, kuti zimachosa ulemu wa umunthu pamene munthu mwamutumiza kundende kuja nkunena kuti mtameneyi ajaja jamapanga mukatani mukamunyonge ndi anthu achamatenga ayoja makauti. It's the worst punishment one can be given. In fact, it's not a punishment, it's death. For me, the word of punishment is something that you feel, you have to feel it, and it has to teach you something. Punishment is meant to teach you something. So death penalty is not even a punishment, because if they kill you, ngati Okupha ndekuti chimenecho Chilango chibalo chimafunika kuti uchimve ndipo uphunzire kuti zezi asinza pangaso. Mapanga research ya de facto moratorium on the death penalty as a violation of human dignity. The University of Malawi might now ndipasa support chifukwa nimakakumana ndi zigawenga. And I was very young in 2015. I was very naive. I met zigawenga zonse zimene mukuziziwa zaku death row. Zimene zinapangira kuti zikaphedwa. Jack Bandawe amene amachuka ndi zina kuti nachipanti. I met Jack Bandawe. And he was the least threatening person I ever met in prison, during that time. I met Jack Bandawe when he was Jack Bandawe, Najibanti. Akucho ene mvankani Jack Bandawe. Atabwera ine Jack Bandawe uchendo uyo. Ndikamaonera zaji na Bobbezi. Ndikamaonera zomwe amapanga police zaji na Bobbezi. When I follow up on zomwe zachitika kusalima, and when I experienced what I experienced with Lisa Jikoja, it empowers me more to fight for the abolition of the death penalty. Koma chimene napanga kuti musamada abwezi ndukamba. Papeji panga nama kugaira ni information. Na kugaira information mageso osiyana sana. Koma ndisana yambe zosezi. Ndikambe nkhani yokhuza Habiba Osman. Habiba Osman is the least person I should speak to in bad light. She's a human rights advocate. So without doubt, Habiba Osman is a human rights advocate, and she has contributed to human rights work in Malawi. You can't take that out away from her. But what I'm trying to tell you is very important. It's equally important, which is what? She is a cosmetic human rights advocate. Habiba Osman is a cosmetic human rights advocate, and the part of her success is because of the cosmetic human rights advocate. Sangabange stand ground with his zoka siningabange. And Habiba Osman don't my principles. Their principles is to serve themselves. So it's difficult to be a full human rights advocate when your interest is to serve yourself. And also Habiba in the cosmetic. Komano kuli zigananga. And how many children the Human Rights Commission? Human rights advocates. Kuma ali zigananga. Ayina kuroba tinkwezalamba hacha. Imagine zigananga. Because from what world will you be the human rights advocate? I'm a unionist. Mutodu wapanga practice human rights or advocating for people for many years. How can you go on TV and say what he said? Like how? I don't have even to talk about Robert Nkwezalamba. But why? After all this time, Kifwajani, ndikufuna ukamba za Habiba on being cosmetic. It's because there's a lot of things that Habiba has done. In Habiba, takangana kambiri. Those that know. In Habiba, takangana stupid. Go off. Then I'll call Habiba. Habiba, I love you so much. Habiba will say, I love you, Alexis. You're very intelligent. That's how we work. But I tell her the truth. She tells me her truth. But zafika pale vyoni na unena kuti it's better to be straight kuti it's better to keep kuti huyu ndi ndani wanga huyu tili osiyana basi osa than to keep people kumakanga kuti you are together when you're not together. Fox birds of different fevers can't fly together. In Habiba and Antosiana. Because I stand on principle. And my principle is you live life to the best when you live for others. Habiba Zaneneka, what she stands for. But for me, I think that Amabanga, she fights for human rights until when her interests are coming. And that's a lot of people in Malawi. So this is very difficult for me. That's why I say cosmetic advocate. So she's not the West, because you're getting the point. But why do I have to talk about her now? Robert Nkwezalamba. Sangalembe, so you know what Robert Nkwezalamba and his friends at Desmond Nkoma and those stupid people have written a letter to Malawi Human Rights Commission complaining about me. So those people, Sangalembe complaint without kulimbisikisibwa. Human Rights Commission we can't do anything because there have been meetings and conversations, phone calls. Because Nkwezalamba calling Ajina Habiba, Ajina Chisi, Peter Chisi, talking to the commissioners. And this includes Sundizoya Madise. Now, Sundizoya Madise is a commissioner of Human Rights Commission. I don't know the human rights work that Sundizoya Madise has done in Malawi. I mean, human rights, because people just say, he's a unionist. He's a unionist. Okay. When was he a unionist? Now in Anabanga, unionism ndidio. People who just come, because this generation, this organization, and is protecting the chaos. So I'm not tika sinta, even in it. I was supposed to be a professor by now. The kind of work I've done and the kind of capacity that I have, I was supposed to have been a professor of law. Like, what I'm telling you is true. But the system has always slowed me. And I waste time because of the system. Because I didn't conform. Conformism. I didn't conform. I was talking about Habiba and being cosmetic. Ajina holoba Nkwezalamba. Sangalembe chikalata ku Malawi Human Rights Commission zobepera zawozo without the commission giving them go ahead. So that's why it has come to a point where I have to speak about Habiba being a cosmetic human rights advocate. And whatever the commission can do, in the commission of Malawi, the Malawi Human Rights Commission cannot tell me about human rights. They should sit down and listen to me, what human rights are, what they should be doing. If the commission, in its knowledge and in its wisdom, can allow good Mali pass a Galimoto, kind of attack, kind of fall. I don't know how many cars they have actually by the head. I mean, what one car is 450 million. If these people are forming a Galimoto, yo do la jonjo with the status of human rights in Malawi, and how much it is. Prison, mena jama magwira nchito and to gona ninja. People can't eat in prison. My inmate, people wonder, Alexius, why are you worried about prisoners? And when amajeji days amenali kunja, amalawi olimbikira kuti sana chimwene dziko and all that. The understanding ya maufuret. Ngati muntu manga, ngati bom dziko la manga muntu ndikuma musunga. Dziko lo lindo lompasa zofunikira muntu amene mangalo. So ndizopusa zimene manena unena kuti anthu akundende mabasa zakudya is a waste of resources. It's because you are stupid. You don't understand what you're talking about. Anthu akundende ndi amene timayenera kuwasamalira chifukwa chani. If we are decent people, we have to be decent to inmates. The best way to show that we are decent people is to treat a criminal with decency, guy. Hello? The best way to show our decency is to treat a criminal with decency. Kulibe dziko limene linatana ndi criminality through treating its prisoners harshly. Kulibe. Especially dziko losauka. There's a reason why I have worked in prison for 15 years. No one can tell me about how prisons work. No one can tell me about criminal law. So criminal law, I've studied criminal law in practice, not in theory. I've studied criminal law in reality. I know my moves some criminals, how they move, what they do. There was a day, where was I staying? Kuchwembe? No, not Kuchwembe. What do you mean, anyway, when I remember Ndibuzan, Kumano, the capital prison every Saturday, and then every 2 weeks. Come time in capital every Saturday. The Ajina Violet, Ajina Cafe. These two women have done so many great work in prisons than most human rights advocates. And how many human rights advocates? Violet Gondwe Cafe is married. I don't know the husband there. But Gondwe, I can mention her because in the gangster and Sangamo Pies. Violet Gondwe, because I want you to she's a gangster. Sangamo Pies in the ghetto girl like me. She was born in the ghetto, growing in the ghetto. You know, I'm Sangani Pusise. For I know stuff. Violet has been going to prison, Bujijiru prison, for maybe 10 years since we met and we started working together. You know, she's a Mother Teresa of today. You know, for me, she's a mother. But no one speaks about Violet Gondwe. No one knows Violet Gondwe. You know, if I have learned so much in prison, it's because Violet Gondwe has moved with me. And this one is a nobody. Violet Gondwe in material, but she has everything in heart, in spirit, in knowledge. She knows the prison. Prison is jama iziwa. Mukafuse kujijiri kuja kuti Violet Gondwe ndani akuza. Aina habibe. Ndantoni na kunena kuti ngakeso samene ndabanga ini public. Muone nkani ya susu. You know, yeah, Mr. Luke. Malawi Human Rights Commission was very quiet about it. Ndantoni ya utama uzila unia wati nkani meni usiye. Boma ije, lima kambira ni Malawi Human Rights Commission, nkani meni usiye. Malawi Human Rights Commission don't do anything. I'm challenging you. That's the kind of Human Rights Commission where it compromises their role. Because their leadership is compromised. But of course, commissioners, I mean, I'm a play role. My commissioners are I'm a sankida on political basis. So I didn't get a disse. Yeah, soon as I'm a bit of Panga Chile Japan. Ya don't say alliance. I know disse, ya don't know what Facebook. Even imagine one of them a whole doctor, a whole PhD holder. Imagine one of them I would Gia was some to was back a paint. Kuma what Mr. Malawi Commission. Good now, Okupha Jani. And my disse that time. Another emweyo director, I mean emweyo waku chairman kandi chanchan oyang'anira sports council. Emweyo audi Malawi Human Rights Commission. Emweyo DVC. Where in the world does that happen? That's corruption. It's the entrenched corruption. And the people worship him or call him out, you know. And this person was convicted, a criminal that was convicted, you know. Somebody, so maybe Kujanu, Malawi Human Rights Commission was the best place for Madise to go as someone who was convicted. Komano ku university, some ina kumpasa leadership position, uka DVC because he is a convict. Wa ukuza zanda ama, anabanda ama Madise. Sunduza Madise anabanda ama. Some ina uka deputy vice chancellor. And the fact that I keep saying this, and if we had a serious university, if the University of Malawi was a serious university that would want to compete at global level, so that's why my district was supposed to be I would know if there is developing facts. We can. What kind of students are you then bleeding? You know, if you have at the top list of the leadership, so the fact is not stigma. The fact is muntu akakhala kuti anamangidwa apo pali zinthu zina zimene zimayenera kuti asa pakhale involved chifukwa chachani chakumangidwa wake kuja komanso zimatengera kuti anamangidwa nkhani yanji. So munthu ngati anamangidwa chifukwa cha manslaughter kuti mwina anagunda munthu pansewu ndizosiyana. munthu ngati anamangidwa chifukwa chati nkhani tinata koma nkhani ya theft ndi nkhani ya serious, nkhani ya defilement or rape ndi nkhani ya serious. Pali ma felony ena ake onena kuti munthu sayenera kukhala public officer of that nature. Even zimene malamulo athu amanena kuti parliamentarians after 7 years atha kubwera ma positions ena ake even parliamentarian akauti wapanga crime ina ake sakwena all his life sakwena kubwera mu parliament. Azipa ticha kumpasa ma positions ena hata kupanga zina zake koma zonse zopanga associate zoti amakumana ndi anthu. An MP meets with constituency kuti kuliana akazi kuti chancha ngatali wa defilement sakwena kukhala involved. Being an MP, involves handling money for the constituency and blah blah blah. Muntu oti ali theft and account theft. Whole his life. So we need to malamulo athu tapange malamulo amene ali unfavorable for people that have committed crimes. Koma kumalawi kuja the laws are favorable for people that have committed crimes. That's why criminality is like that. That's why corruption is entrenched. But it's not only about the regime, the legal framework. It's also if you and sit kupanga pokan. Fama mwa meti na ndo wanina kupanga zinzoene ya. Ayina Habiba, hani soni makamba za Luke. Palinkani ya John Musa John. Hani meje Malawi Human Commission maina kuitenga fule. Kundisa boda kala nane. In fact, see maina eneo as a private lawyer. Mabanga zimezi jazo. In fact, if I was doing that, Malawi Human Commission was supposed to be funding my work. They were nowhere to be seen. Malawi Human Commission, Nkania, Clifford Kombe, they were involved and analemba ripoti yobusa kwambiri. Analemba ripoti yodi as a commission, he was not supposed to anampanga blame victim. The facts are very clear, but they blame the victim. You should go and find out report yomana pereka and they never justified. And nkani yosina ikoke kwambiri fani mapanga focus kuti ni muyimirire Clifford Komba. And Clifford Komba namuyimirira mpana nkani jainata anampeza ulakwa ngakhale kuti kumpeza ulakwa kwa ine it was not justified. Komano mlandu mena ankampanga charge. So this is how the law works. Anampanga charge mlandu attempted grievous body harm, attempted grievous body harm. Ndi mlandu onena kuti chilango jage ndi life imprisonment maximum. You know what? Anampasa 1 year and a half. I mean 1 year and 6 months. Less than 2 years or 2 years thereabouts. Ndaiwa. Ndinamfoto wazira zose ndipo I was ready to appeal. Clifford Komba ananzwa bwana ndakuona ni mene ni umagwira ntchito. Ndakuona ni mene nkoti muja mwapangira apolisi aja mene mwafusira mafuso. Kani inangovuta kuti boma ndi mene limalimbana nane. Koma iniyo ntchito anu mwagwira ine ndikaseva 2 years. So anakakamira Clifford na kuti mene ndaonera ineyo zinthuzi. Bwana musapange appeal. So as a lawyer, I listen to my client. People will say, akuziwa nde kuti chichipo anapangadi. No. The system imakufinya kuti you have no choice to umapangiza kuti uvomera zinthu kapena kuti you are in a situation where you look like unapanga because you just want your peace, you just want to be alive. Story ya Clifford Komba ndio kuti sonta kuzaikamba payoka. Story ya Clifford Komba ndio kuti ndikoza kuzaikamba payoka. Apolisi amena amanena kuti Clifford Komba ankafuna kuagunda, they were never admitted in the muchipatala. Gali moto imene amanena kuti Clifford Komba anagundira apolisi inaphwanyikiratu kuti if this speed. So kesi ya Clifford Komba nzaikamba payoka when I have time. Ine ndiza mbiri zokuza na Malawi. Komano it's nothing. It means nothing. You make me useless. Ine ndamene mandibanga kukhala useless. For you ndikakuza ni zinthu ndikutambasulira palibe chimene mumapangapo. You're not changing your ways, you're not holding your institutions accountable, you're not panopa maina ukhala tumapanga na organize ine sonsa uziwa ndikuzindikira mama wapo uziwa kuti demoto yayamba uku you don't need kuti kamangira nene kuti ancha. The fact kuti mpaka na panopa for 2 years I've been talking about the same thing. Zimene ndakhala ine akulu sindi kuina kuzita kuzana nzona mukuziwa ine kuti nzona. Ndipo ngati Robert Nkwezamba amabwera kumapanga, have you ever seen then ndikufuse munaonapo kumalawi kuja anthu akupanga press briefing ma presser for an individual. People do pressers for the president, for the government. And I'm a pressure for the government. How did I become that important for people to be doing my pressers for me? And in a bonica in Rajabanga pressure and that. You know, Tima Grutosa to the point where HRCC Igubanga pressure on Alexius Gamangira. Where in the world or when in the history of Malawi has an institution, has an NGO done a pressure on an individual? Munduze, mulembe ba ma comment section. Pana chitikabo pressure and tubanga pressure for an individual. So this is where you need to wake up. Aina mkweza lambaje, aina ba mena mapita ku pressure mja. Ana uta anfanakale nda police. Because the cartel is controlled by the police. That's why you have a Pangeti with Mpana Banosana Bangidi. Pangeti is responsible for the death of Victoria Bobe. From the information that I have. That's why Kesi Osinga and that's why Kesi Ugayamba under the Chilango. That's not just a coincidence. I'll give you an example. Ya Kesi Menisina in the Bino. Amina Mabanga Chilango. Kesi Alisa Chikoja. So systematically, and who is controlling this? Kudi mubanga trust today. Ngadi kudi amalala serious. Mupite ku police. Mukatenge warrant, search warrant. Mupite nayo ku Airtel. Kabena ku TNM. Mukatenge akupase documentation, my phone calls record achikopa. Mupeza now Chikopa is the one who is responsible. Many wa panga determine kudi kesi manager ibite before Ruth Chilango. Because Ruth Chilango and Chikopa amagwizana kwambiri. So Chikopa, Ravmo Chikopa, Deputy Chief Justice, the many wa pangisa unena kuti kesi manager ibite kwa Ruth Chilango. Chifukwa jani, the criminals that have amana gabandama. So mamuna wake wa Victoria akwenda kuti auze dziko la Malawi ngamo kuti akubaja. So that's how you start bring justice on that way and adumphanda siyaso ina habiba jenda ponyoko. For the information yi itaweza kuti ndakamba zambiri mbiri komano information for anthu ambiri afuna amve zimene zizi. Pangeti, Christopher Pangeti, the information that I have. So I can I'm ready to give you evidence in that case as a witness. Evidence many ndia indirect zomendamva, so it's not relevant, it's not powerful, but it's evidence anyway. That's why I said police tamangeni Christopher Pangeta who's an information I know how he organizes crime, and that's why ndani nangu mujuni ndizakuzani zokuza Pangeti ndilimbi one, and indeed the tragic loss that the country faced in recent history. Because Pangeti, Christopher Pangeti, the information that I have also is now Pangeti ujautete zilanda hambili for the master wa criminality police. Koma China chimeji kuvuta ntona kuti Pangeti mkazi wake has been in a secret relationship ndiye commissioner of police, muntu wankulu mu police. Koma secret relationship ndona kuti Christopher Pangeti is part of the deal. Does it go under as a backup plan? And so Zukuvuda would have a deal Pangeti. Christopher Pangeti, you go in 2012, he was involved in Ugaba 60 million in 2012. So if he was convicted and then pardoned, who pardoned him? Find out who pardoned Christopher Pangeti. And find out how a pardoned ex-policeman finds himself back into the police and in the role Mama Banga play. Mufuse Pangeti oja, Christopher Pangeti, criminality anayamba kalikali ali kwa antimota kuja. He has been in so much chaos. So, if you want to know what happened, and if you want Antamene Anapa Victoria Bobe, kudizinduzijuge, Christopher Pangeti akwenda amangido. Kuma Christopher Pangeti, even Ichakwea, might not want Pangeti to be, because there might be some complications. Even Kunkuyu might not want Pangeti to be, even Ajina Jimwendo, they might have had some deals. So I'm not saying that these are suspicions. So when I'm talking suspicions, I know too much. It's because I know too much. So when I look at people say, siku la lero ngati lero chimene munthu wa ku Finland angandimbire phone lijani ndimva afterlife ndiyena ndimalize how did it's a movie now amalawi ndamaliza ajina Habiba ati kuti they are cosmetic human rights advocate ndanthuonena kuti they can do as much zinthu zinasanga bange. How do you have an NGO yomenyera ufulu wanthu a refugee innocent Gambi? You should find out the story of innocent Gambi, an immigrant. How did we have my refugees treated like the way they were treated by MCP when we have Human Rights Commission? Why didn't they resign? Why didn't they stand their ground? They are part of the system. They are part of the corruption. Habiba, the Muhodi Mampembeza, she's part of the problem. Because you can't have human rights. Kumalo as many as majitika sicha. No way. Ajina Peter G said they're being as a director ku section ya Malawi Human Rights Commission. Kumano all these years, you know, they have just been working with the system. But you sit down, even you have a conversation with him on civil and political rights, you're like, where are we going, you know? He has to move. You can't be, how long has he been working? You can't have a person being a director or that department before forever, you know? You need to have new people. We have new brains and people that have done human rights, that understands how human rights is supposed to work. That institution has to develop. Malawi Human Rights Commission is weak. Zima, and then Chinos Mama Onesa, so it has improved. Of course, Habiba had a bit without doubt, and that's, you can't take that away from Habiba. You can't take that away from Habiba. Kuti Malawi Human Rights Commission has improved. Come on, the improvement ya cosmetic. Yo, ndinoana kwambiri. You know, ndinoana kwambiri. Ineyo zize ndaka information hii ndakanayo for years and yakayundi bweteka. And inahimbiba jani wako mana ndikamajeza nao. Ndimajeza nao kwa ndikusunga zintu kuti Habiba kodi apa pa mukuti mukupanga jani. Kodi ukuku Malawi Human Rights Commission mukuti mukutani. Raymond Marik wants to be a co-host. Well, you know, I'm not going to allow anyone to be a co-host. You know, I'm not going to allow anyone. I think we'll into 1,100 ku TikTok. Umaesa mafana. You know, audi umafotokoza ngati pena taziwakale umatisokoneza pena you know usapakhala nthawi lesi ndikuganiza ndifake ndayamba kugayira anthu amene mabwera panopa musana werenge what I've shared in my page since for you know within 4 hours that can kugawa information mukawerenge nde muzaonenso live muionenso nde mumvetsa koma basi ngofika tanja kesi ya Clifford Komba si maina kufika benene analemba chiripoti chopusa Malawi Human Rights Commission. Kesi ya even investigation, you know, kuti 2024 ichi titayamba zathu za kuti ku judiciary kuli corruption chanchani this and that. You know what happened? Apita Dimba anaambisa investigation kumekuja parliament. Parliament kuja naita na Malawi Law Society. Kenako kuzaitanisa judiciary inabita atabwe anazatuka alibitira ndimuzana kuti information in database is kuti Ken Manda is guilty. Basically that's what he said. Komano chifali udi ifeyo ndifa parliament zikachitika tikapeza olafu abweraso ku parliament kuno. They see we are not the right people to do this investigation. Pamene paja I made comments. I said that's the end of it. Au president amene wawa inapita Dimba auziba unena kuti akula zisiye zimene by by the then President Chabwino, by the leadership, because kuti Ken Manda apulumusidwe in 2023, because Ken Manda was subjected in parliament. Pamene Gangata amafuna kulanda filling station. Do you remember filling station yomafuna kulanda Gangata? Through Ken Manda. Decision imene inazachitika nafoto uzapo papa. Muntu Gangata anaindi ngongole ni muntu about 9 million there back 11 million. Sama bweza muntu kumukumbusa Gangata ukhuku muntu amene aonena lero kuti andi ndege uja mu 2023 mu 2022 amakanika kubweza 9 million 10 million munako ndalama andi ndalama zake zonati magali moto a Gangata amazabwereka fuel amazakongola fuel Kena kuzoti mu 2 mina muntu janayipeza chigalimoto chimodzi chimene chichagangata. Muntu anangotenga maki. Galimoto icha gangata anangochisiya chigalimoto icha. Koma after some time muntu anakayangana galimoto icha gangata anapeza galimoto anthu matha kutaya maki. You know? Magi muntu kwatenga magi si chinthu chimene chingalephera kuti galimoto isasunde. Koma in the end aina gangata anabweza 700 million bill kwa muntu ucha. Kenako baga no kumlanda filling station. So they were going towards kumlanda filling station. Pamene muntu anakadandawa kwa MP, Mzake. My guy afuna ndanda filling station. Kuyanga no bezo anthu anayanga filling station kupitisa kwa simama. Simama ujandiliwa kuba amene ujayo. Mati abusa ka mati asima. He's a criminal. And you worship him. Mpembedza kutangani. Simama ndende criminal waba fiction. Kuti chuma chake muchione bwino. Chuma chuti walandalanda. Anthu ena mpaka nanapenga. So mmane ndapenga. Anthu ene amene anapenga ine. Anthu amene analandidwa ma filling station ndasimama. Kusera divi imene yodusa ajina gangata kupita kwa ndani kwa ajina ndani ajina Ken Manda kulemba ma judgments awo saziwa. Mu divi imene mupeza muli ndani muli wapona kita muli Edgar Kajere. Kodi Edgar Kajere ni ndani? Edgar Kajere ni bale wake wa Habiba. Kodi ndi bale wake wa Habiba Osman Bwanji. Edgar Kajere anakwatira sister wake wa Habiba. Ndikuberekana naye mwana owana. So they are family. They meet. So wait. Ziko lija likuyendesedwa ndi ma families. Tikama kusungira nulemu eti. Tikama kusungira nulemu. Tikama kusungira nulemu zipasa ulemu. Ujitsiru memba banga kuti mugwizane ndi ajina aicha sisi kena kwakanga mabanga complaint kena komuyankule ene ndilibe nanu ntchito. In a Malawi Commission can't tell me anything about human rights because they are driving 450 million cars in a country pamene ziko lona kuti anthu akulephera kupeza fuel. The country that can't afford to bring fuel into the country for citizens to buy it also for free. Ziko lona kuti tikulephera kubesa fuel mu dzikomo. Dziko loti likulephera kubesa fuel mu dzikomo kuti anthu ake agule. Dziko limene Human Rights Commission yo ikulolera tiwerengere kuti mina atakhamuna I don't know how many cars mina 4 just do 4 times 450 million. It's about 2 billion. Just galimoto idazendera munthu mmodzi. Hello, galimoto yodazendera munthu mmodzi 2 billion. What about maintenance? What about maintenance? And you see these things, you don't see anything wrong. And how bomber? There should be a day where I'm a civil servants. So you look for a savior, Malawians. Even his name began Chinese. So we didn't go promotion dineo no kamene mungazi promotion. Faga mbuyeso ana auza azmaya kwa Jerusalem. Kuti mukulira koma musandilire ine koma muzilire noka ndiana chifwa muzaona zopsha zochitisa chisoni kumalawi kujatu anthu akuona zopsha zochitisa chisoni. Na amene ali ndi nzimu anthu akuona zopsha kumalawi kuja. So we should have a shutdown because the civil servants have been taken for granted. Aina wanamveka aja. Which economy? Because I want an economist who should tell me kuti manena unena hello, wake up, you are slumbering. Manena uda manamveka ndidolo, hey manamveka economy ama igwira economy yake. If your foreign reserves is weak as Malawi is and continues to be weak, you can't talk about an economy. We don't have an economy. We don't have buying power as a country. The buying power. Businesses cannot run in Malawi without a buying power. In an economy, economics in my zero. Economics your turn is it? Economics that will help me to explain the economy. If you are allowing Ajina Mansour Karim to externalize the forex, if you allow Ajina Bushi to externalize forex, if you allow Tom and the Trifoni and Pinganjira to externalize forex, if you allow mwenye wakulilongo ndikuuzani amene amayuza anthu ndikuuza if you allow those people, if you allow Castel ma business ake kumayuza Mansour Karim kuti azagulira ma products, you can't talk about economy. Because, you know, the economy is in the hands of Indians in Malawi. And why? Because they are the ones that have been given room to do whatever they can and no accountability. You know, ajina Robert Nkweza Mbagamayima pa TV, the manena with a straight face. You know, kani hotel, Amaris Hotel, inaenda kuno mwino, ndipo sisi makukuzana Malawi. They are doing that because you are allowing that. Maina kuzuwa kuti chani. You are supposed to move fusa meno jandi kumugu. Wasati kumenya. No violence. But show anger. Stand up. We should, in fact, we should ban HRCC for 1 year. They're not serious. HRCC should be banned for a year. So that we should fix. That's why, ajina Trumpes, gift Trumpes, ajina Ntambo, they stole the future of the country. Because zintunanga banga antu watu ama badu tsogolola dziko. Sikuti kuba umene mauna inu mango na kuba ndalama. Ama khala kuba tsogolola dziko. Ama khala kuba tsogololano. Ama khala kuba quality of life. Your quality of life. They steal the quality of life. Ama khala kuba they steal the future of your children. They steal the future of the children of your children. It's how deadly this is. Ina Ntambo ajanaba zimizi. Ajina Mwangamada, chakwina wafiba, kakibula waba, mkusukutu wabajani. Si ndalama zimi mungu wana titi ndalama ati. Aina chakwina aja, they have stolen the future of the country. They have stolen togolana anu. Aba, togolo, la togolana ananu.